That's why you see Makhachev like being who he is. Makhachev is crazy.
Islam Makhachev is grinding harder than ever as he prepares for one of the biggest challenges of his career, Della Maddalena. Known for his suffocating grappling and championship composure, Islam isn't taking JDM's dangerous striking lightly, and that's why this camp is all about sharpening every weapon in his arsenal. The question now is, can Makhachev's relentless work pay off against one of the most lethal boxers in the UFC? Let's break it down.
Now the second, probably, if you do it properly 15 to 20 times, it will strengthen it with a brush. Warping and all that, yeah.
For 2 months. And how? Like this. Yeah, dot. No, the carpet is not broken. Special notches, yes. Floor. You can break your nose here like this. Let's do it 10 times. Let's do it.
Islam Makhachev is leaving nothing to chance as he prepares for Della Maddalena. Fresh off 3 weeks of hard camp, the lightweight champ has locked himself back into full grind mode, sharpening every part of his game. He acknowledges that JDM is a real threat, and after all, anyone who reaches championship level in the UFC has dangerous tools to bring to the cage. For Islam, this isn't just another fight, it's a responsibility. He's embracing the challenge with discipline and focus, and he believes that by mid-November, his preparation will have him in top shape, ready to prove once again why he's at the very peak of the sport.
Хабиб анонсировал твой бой против Маддалены за титул в полусреднем весе. И расскажи, как проходит твоя подготовка и видишь ли ты опасность в нем?
Подготовка проходит хорошо, только начали. Как раз только говорил, что на сборах были 3 недели, приехали. Опасность, конечно, если человек чемпион на какой-то вес, особенно у нас в организации, там таких проходных не бывает. Так что подхожу с максимальной ответственностью к этому бою и думаю, буду к середине ноября в хорошей форме.
To get there, Makhachev is putting in the gritty work. He has been caught on camera unloading powerful combinations on the heavy bag, each strike a glimpse into the intensity fueling his camp. That drive comes from a mindset built in Dagestan, where giving up is never part of the culture. Under the influence of his coach and mentor Khabib Nurmagomedov, he was taught that if you're caught, you endure, and quitting simply isn't an option. It's this toughness paired with his disciplined preparation that Islam believes will have him at his absolute best when November arrives.
Tapping out ever an option, or would you pass out before?
No, I sleep.
How you can tap? Go sleep.
Our rules inside the gym.
Tapping outs never happens in Dagestan, does it?
Damn.
I don't want to put myself in some position where I have to tap.
And Khabib, never one to ease up. The former champion is seen in the latest footage pushing Islam and his teammates through punishing drills, reinforcing the Dagestani standard. No shortcuts, only relentless work.
22 minutes.
22 minutes left.
22 minutes.
Left?
It was 4 rounds, but we have to do this 22 minutes, 2 rounds. 11, 1 minute rest. 5. There was.
The leader. The coach. And me. Off.
Huh?
Off.
Coach Khabib's intensity in camp is on another level. For him, fatigue simply doesn't exist. Once the sparring, grappling, and wrestling rounds are over, he piles on even more exercises, pushing the team far past exhaustion. Islam jokes that you'd have to ask Bilal Muhammad to really understand the madness, because even he's never trained under pressure like this before. It's that non-stop push from Khabib that keeps Islam sharp, unbreakable, and fully prepared for the battles that lie ahead.
Coach Habib has lost his damn mind, and he does not understand like fatigue when he doesn't do everything. And this guy is crazy out here.
Brother,
is this guy really crazy?
You have to come to the camp because you know this guy pressure like push us crazy. And you know we have all this sparring, couple grappling rounds, couple wrestling rounds, and that's it. We finish all training. But when we finish all these things, he beginning do like some. Other exercise too much. As the below, bro. I think
this guy crazy.
Think he's never training hard like that.
That's why Islam Makhachev has become the fighter he is today, sharpened by brutal camps and guided by unshakable discipline. Joe Rogan highlighted how impressive it was to see Islam make those sharp adjustments in his second fight with Volkanovski, calling it something truly special. Daniel Cormier builds on that by saying Khabib once looked like the complete version of a Russian fighter, but now Islam has matched those same skills and added another layer with his striking. Together it shows that under Khabib's guidance, the new generation isn't just carrying the torch, and they're pushing the standard even higher.
That's why you see Makhachev like being who he is. Makhachev is crazy.
Bro, the way he adjusted to Volkanovski in the second fight was pretty special.
And we thought when we saw Khabib, right, that was the complete version of a Russian fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see Islam and he possesses all those same skills with the striking. It's like they're just getting better and better.
And in camp, Islam isn't just sharpening his own skills, but he's also pushing his sparring partners to grow alongside him, raising the entire team's level. Still, not everyone is convinced that will be enough. Fatima Klein sees real danger for Islam in this matchup. While he's been dominant at lightweight, moving up to face a natural welterweight like Jack Della Maddalena is a huge jump, which is over 30 pounds in difference. She points out that Jack could use that size to his advantage, especially with someone like Craig Jones in his corner. After all, we've already seen the kind of problems Jones created for Islam's style when Volkanovski worked with him. Klein believes that same blueprint could be key to breaking down Dagestani wrestling and giving Jack the edge he needs for an upset.
Well, Islam is super dominant at 55, but I mean, 170 that's like over a 30-pound difference, you know. And so I could see Jack using his weight, and also I mean he's got Craig. If he has Craig Jones in his corner, and you see what happened when Volk fought Islam and had Craig in his corner. I could really see Craig Jones breaking down the kind of that Dagestani wrestling and pulling Jack out with a win.
But Islam's camp sees it very differently. His head coach Javier Mendez has a clear warning for JDM, and that's not to underestimate Islam's striking. He stresses that if Jack walks in thinking it's just about grappling, he'll be in for a rude awakening. Mendez insists that Islam is no easy fight for anyone, and that pure strikers in particular struggle once the cage door closes. What looks manageable on tape, he says, feels like a completely different story when you're standing across from Islam.
JDM did an interview just, I think, this week, and he broke down that he believes Islam's stand-up is a little bit easier to deal with than Bilal's because Islam has more of a traditional style for his stand-up. Do you feel like people are kind of missing some of the X factors that Islam brings with his striking?
If he's saying that, I hope that he goes in believing that, because when he gets in there with Islam, you're going to find out a whole different story because I'm sorry, they're completely different. And by no means is Islam an easy for anybody on the stand-up. No, any MMA fighter that's a striker, that's not going to have an easy time with him. I've been with this kid like going on 11 years of watching him just destroy everybody on the stand-up. Guys that are much better stand-up than him, and he still destroys him. So, no. Don't go by what you see. When you get in there with that man, it's a whole different ballgame.
Not everyone agrees. MMA Guru isn't convinced Islam has an easy night ahead. He admits Makhachev has the tools to win, but believes JDM's style could flip the script. In his view, Islam won't be able to back Jack up, and as the fight wears on, JDM will press forward, control the range, and draw out Islam's shots. That relentless pressure, he argues, is what makes Jack so dangerous. Guru also points to JDM's much improved takedown defense as a major factor against Islam's grappling. And while Islam is a massive lightweight, often walking around at 190, Jack is even bigger at 215. For Guru, the real question is whether Islam's wrestling dominance truly surpasses Belal Muhammad's, who has shown more consistency in controlling and overpowering larger opponents.
I actually think Islam, but I hope he loses just to watch him cope and cry. Makhachev could beat JDM. It's an absolutely fine take, but man, I can't help but think JDM's just going to walk him down. I can't see Makhachev backing him up. I think he's going to be at range, and eventually as we get into the fight, JDM will just start pushing him backwards, drawing the shots out more obviously. And since JDM stopped jumping gillies, man, takedown defense elite. Belal is a small welterweight. You know Islam is way bigger out of camp. 190 versus 215. 190 versus 215. How would JDM handle a version 2 of Belal? Actual solid point, please. You think he's a V2 Belal, though? Belal has arguably proved more grappling dominance in terms of control and being able to physically manipulate larger men.
Carlos Prates, however, looks back at that same Belal fight from another angle. He admitted that after JDM's injuries and long layoff, he expected the slow, point-heavy scrap where Jack might struggle to shine. Instead, he was impressed by how much Jack had grown, leveling up his skills and proving he could perform at the very top despite the setbacks. Still, Henry Cejudo was quick to add perspective, and Islam Makhachev is a completely different challenge. With his suffocating pressure and unmatched top control, Cejudo believes Islam brings a style of dominance far beyond anything Belal could offer, making this fight an entirely new kind of test for JDM.
I was thinking Jack Della Maddalena would lose. He got injury, and I was like almost 2 years without fight.
Yeah.
And then he come to different level, bro. Me was like gonna be a board fight by points and things like that. But bro, what he did was really good work. He grew up a lot.
Yeah, but
he come a different level.
Yeah, but Islam is a different animal. And if there's one thing that I could say in that fight, Islam Makhachev, he gets on top of you.
Yeah.
He's a blanket, bro. Yeah. Top control that Islam has in comparison to Belal is completely different.
And picking up on those stakes, Chael Sonnen stressed just how pivotal this matchup really is for the division. He argued that the only way you'd even have a chance at Islam versus Ilia Topuria is if Jack pulls off the upset. It doesn't guarantee that fight, and it doesn't necessarily make it more compelling, but it at least forces Islam to consider making 155 again. The real intrigue, Chael added, is what happens to Jack's career if he does win, which is a question few are asking simply because most people don't expect him to.
That is such a compelling match, and it is a pivotal match for the division. The only way you are going to get Islam and Ilia is if Jack wins. Now, that doesn't guarantee you Islam Ilia. And it certainly doesn't help to make that fight more interesting. But it's the only way you would even have a chance of getting Islam to weigh 155 pounds again. Now, I share it from that perspective because it really is pivotal. Pivotal? What's so hard about this new pivotal? And if Jack is to win, where does that take him and where does that spin him? Where does his career go? And the reason you can't answer that question, the reason you haven't heard any rumors of that is nobody's expecting Jack to win.
Chael didn't stop there, though. He went on to underline the reality check for anyone brushing JDM aside, and that's the fact that Jack is a hell of a tough fight. His style, his pressure, and his skill set make him dangerous. Chael argued that if Jack and Islam were the same size, say Jack at 170 and Islam at 155, Jack could absolutely beat him. At equal weight, though, that edge becomes slimmer, and the challenge grows. Still, Chael insisted that Jack is right there with Islam, closer than many are willing to admit.
That's a problem for selling out the Garden, except you have a reality. And the reality is Jack is one hell of a hard fight. his style and his skill. If Jack weighed 170 and Islam weighed 155, Jack could beat him. If they both weigh 170, it'll make it harder on Jack, and I don't know, and I'm not ready to give you an analysis. I'm just saying, if they were the same and Jack just had that little small advantage, it would be enough. Like, Jack is right there with Islam.
So after looking at all these takes, the big question remains: who really comes out on top? Does Islam's suffocating pressure, world-class grappling, and ever-improving striking prove too much for JDM to handle? Or does Jack's relentless pace, sharp boxing, and ability to adjust mid-fight allow him to shock the world and hand Islam his toughest test yet? Both men bring unique weapons to the table, and that's what makes this matchup so intriguing. But now we want to hear from you. Who are you siding with, Islam or JDM, and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more breakdowns and updates on this massive clash.